my name is Nono Konopka and I'm about to cycle 15,000 kilometers from Berlin to Beijing.
Ah, Hagel! Ah! Minus 20 Grad. Oh nein, Bären!
Absolut surreal.
Okay, who of you thinks that I'm a passionate cyclist? Just raise your hands. Okay, I see. Guess what? I'm not. In fact, I hate cycling. As a kid, I always needed to go with my mom on small cycling trips. And saying that I disliked them would be a big, big understatement. I never cycled more than 10 kilometers until mid of last year. I had no idea how to change a tire. And I even walked to university, which took me half an hour, instead of taking the bike for only 5 minutes. But why did I do this trip then? I did this trip because I have a dream. I have a dream where we as humans believe in ourselves. I have a dream where we inspire and help each other. I have a dream where we leave our comfort zones behind to chase what we truly want. And this is the very essence of my dream. I want that more of us leave our comfort zones. And I know that it isn't always easy. Let's just take this TED Talk right now, right here as an example. Seriously, I love TED Talks, and I always dreamed of being here on stage to give one. But as the talk came closer, I actually became anxious of being here and speaking to you guys. I pictured everything. I literally pictured everything that could potentially go wrong. And I was afraid that my message wouldn't be clear enough. So I was rewriting my entire talk over and over and over again. What you're hearing here today is the 10th version. It's the 10th version of my talk, and I can tell you that the process of getting here was challenging for me. I almost canceled my talk 2 weeks ago because I didn't believe that I could do it. So even though I was dreaming of speaking at TED, I almost canceled it because it brought me so much discomfort. But I didn't. And I didn't cancel for the same single reason I didn't cancel on my 15,000 kilometer cycling trip. And the reason is that I don't make my dreams about me. I make them about something that is bigger than me. I make them about us. But it hasn't always been like this. For most of my life, I wanted one thing. I had one dream. I wanted to be successful, whatever it might take. My thought process looked like this. If I find what I'm good in, I would enjoy spending my time doing it a lot, become really good, and then eventually I will be successful. So I had a dream of being someone in the future who is more respected for what he's doing. It was a dream about myself and myself only. So I tried out many different things. I worked in big corporations, I worked in small corporations, I founded my own companies, and I was always trying to work towards my dream. However, I ended up quitting many times early in the process, because I lost the motivation to continue. In many situations, I looked back later and regretted not having pushed through the process. And when I ask for help, I always felt that people have their own dreams and don't have time helping me with mine. So eventually, I gave up because it was too much discomfort. Today, I know that I couldn't find the persistency needed to reach my dreams because I made them about myself and myself only. I was focusing on being rather than becoming. And what I needed was a change in perspective, which I luckily got almost 3 years ago. In the beginning of 2017, I moved to Central America for studying and traveling. And in the rural areas of Guatemala, I got to know that many kids would love to go to school and learn, but simply don't have the possibility to do so. Many schools,
Hey, my name is...
they either look like this one, so they're almost ruins where lessons are cancelled for simple reasons, such as rain, or they're too far away, and the families from the rural communities can't afford the daily bus. So I learned that many kids' biggest dream is to visit school. Something which is absolutely normal for all of us here. But they couldn't. They just couldn't. Experiencing this altered my perspective. And I committed to do something to change the situation. So eventually, I came up with the idea to cycle across the world to start fundraising for a school. My friends and family, they know exactly how much I hate cycling. They know it. So they thought I'm completely crazy. But because people love craziness, the idea would get a lot of attention, which I then wanted to use for something bigger than myself. It was the first time in my life that I had a dream which was not about me, but about others. And that enabled me to put this dream over my comfort. I started cycling right after I finished university. 10 months ago, I left Berlin with one of my best friends to chase this dream to build a school. It took me 270 days to reach Beijing. 270 days, 3/4 of a year, full of challenges such as storms, ice, snow, deserts, loneliness, and illness. 270 days, almost one entire year of doing things everybody, including myself, thought I can't do. Looking back, I can recall 2 situations, only 2, where I almost canceled on my dream. The first situation happened in Turkey. How do you picture Turkey? Probably warm, right? A country where you go for swimming, for holidays. I thought the same. And then I experienced Turkey like this. So I cycled through Turkey in winter, and it has been the single hardest thing I ever did in my entire life. I cycled over 3,000 meters high mountains. I pushed my bike through snow high as my knees, and I experienced temperatures down to minus 23 degrees Celsius. And you know what? Turkey is big. Turkey is really big. So I didn't cross it in a week. It took me 2 entire months. 2 months of cycling through Turkey in winter. One day, the day looked like this. As I was cycling in the end of Turkey, close to the border to Iran, my bike broke down in the middle of nowhere. It was already late. I was feeling tired. I was feeling exhausted from a full day of cycling. And I had no one to call. I was being in a situation, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I felt lonely. I felt helpless. And I felt lost. I have been in a situation I could not control, a situation way bigger than myself. The second situation that pushed me to my limits happened in Turkmenistan. If tourists go to Turkmenistan, They mostly never do. But if they do, they get a 5-day transit visa. Only 5 days. So I needed to cross the entire country, straight through the desert, 600 kilometers in 5 days. And remember, I hate cycling. So I stuck up on water until my bike weighed around 60 kilograms. I slept right at the border control, passed it early by dawn, and made 100 kilometers the first day. I pitched my tent right in the middle of the desert. And as I was trying to fall asleep, I got really high fever. My whole body was shivering, and I couldn't fall asleep. So in the night, it became worse, and it became worse. And eventually, in the morning, I decided that I had to go to hospital. I now want you to picture this situation, this one. You're in the middle of the desert, in a completely foreign country, where no one speaks English. You're feeling sick, and you're so weak, you already have troubles pushing your bike from the tent to the close-by street. You don't have internet, you don't have reception, you have no one to call. You can't call your family, you can't call your friends, you can't call anyone. And the next city is 80 kilometers away, but you can't cycle. And you have $30 left. There are no ATMs in the entire country, so you can't pay a taxi. And also you know that there are 4 more days where you need to make another 450 kilometers in order to leave the country in time, avoid a huge fine, or maybe even prison. So, how would you feel? I would guess you would probably feel lonely, helpless, or maybe even angry, because I was feeling all the things. I was sitting on the side of the street, holding my thumb up and hoping that one out of 3 cars passing by each hour would stop, the driver would somehow understand what I want from him, and the car would be big enough to fit my bicycle with all belongings. As I was sitting there, I already understood that the chances of happening are almost 0. But let me tell you, besides feeling lonely, besides feeling helpless, and besides feeling angry, I was genuinely grateful. I was grateful to be in this situation because I realized that this will be one of the situations where I grow the most. One of the situations where the discomfort is so big that literally the only thing I can do is to remind myself why I'm doing this. Out of the 270 days of cycling, these 2 situations were most challenging for me. But I made it out of them safe and sound, and this is why I'm standing here today. But I have also been in other situations that pushed me to my limits. This is the hospital I went to in Turkmenistan. Just an example. And I cycled through pitch-black tunnels in Turkey. I carried my bicycle through rivers in Kyrgyzstan. I shared a highway with buses, trucks, and cars in China. And eventually, I was running away from a brown bear in Bosnia. From a brown bear, yes. But despite all this discomfort, I never stopped believing in my dream. Never. And I realized one amazing thing. If you have a vision, if you have a purpose, if you have a dream that is bigger than yourself, others feel it, and they want to support you. I got messages from people from all around the world who I never met and will most likely never meet in my entire life, who told me to keep on cycling and to push through. These people enabled me to continuously put my dreams over my comfort. So if I learned one thing from this journey, then it's our turn. It is our turn to include others into our dreams and make life about more than ourselves. 10 months ago, I left Berlin with my bicycle. I didn't train for it, not at all. I didn't prepare a lot. I only knew which road I want to take, and for what I'm doing this. I had the dream to build a school. This dream led me through 20 countries, around the world, and finally back to Guatemala. I went to the same guest house, I hiked the same volcano, and I visited the same rural communities. But one thing was different. The last time, there were hundreds of kids with the big dream to visit school. This time, I met hundreds of kids again, but they had different dreams. They wanted to become firefighters, they wanted to become builders, and they wanted to become officers. They wanted to become architects, they wanted to become doctors, and they wanted to be lawyers. They talked about their dreams with big eyes and glowing eyes and big, big smiles. And I know this because I sat down with the kids to help them to draw their future professions on paper. I helped them to draw their dreams. Then we put these dreams in a box. We walked a bit, we dug a hole, we put the box inside and closed the hole again until the ground was flat. And this ceremony should illustrate that when a school is built on the ground, the dreams of the kids can turn into reality. The box is the cornerstone of the school and all its pupils. And it's beautiful because it's true. Without the school, without the teachers, without the lessons, the dreams of the kids will most likely stay what they are, just dreams. But with the school, the dreams can turn into reality. It will be this year in July that a school will be built on the ground. Another one has already been built 4 months ago in a different community. As I was standing there, in front of the kids, the future pupils, to give a speech, just like today, I started crying. I realized that more than 1,500 dreams are in the boxes below the 2 schools. And I realized that soon there will be firefighters, there will be lawyers, and there will be teachers. I realized that all of this only happened because I had people along the way who believed in me and enabled me to put my dreams over my comfort. And I realized that my dream was never to build a school. It is to make others believe in themselves. It is to inspire and to help. It is to make other dreams possible. In this moment, I promised myself that I will continue doing so. I will always put my dreams over my comfort. I will dream for us rather than I will dream for me. And I will inspire people to leave their comfort zones. I will just not do it on a bicycle anymore. Okay. Thank you.